Good morning, good afternoon, good evening once again. My name is Helen Kuria, the Africa Coordinator for the High Seas Alliance, and I take this opportunity to welcome you for this first of our series, Let's Talk BBNJ. And this series, for today, we are going to be discussing Global Ocean Technical Facility Program by IUCN, funded by EU. Before we progress to our speakers today, I want to welcome our CEO and Director, Rebecca Hubbard. Over to you to open this session.
Thanks, Helen. Good evening, everybody. Great to see such a diverse selection of people from all over the planet and from different sectors. I'm very looking forward to this session. As Helen mentioned, this is one of our new series, Let's Talk BBNJ, with the entry into force of the High Seas Treaty on the 17th of January. We have a very exciting and momentous opportunity to turn the BBNJ Agreement from paper and commitments on paper into actual action in the water, but there's plenty to do to make that happen. And of course, to make that happen, we need resources, and most countries need resources. And so today's session really, I think, should be really helpful for all stakeholders, particularly for governments and for your partners who are interested in accessing support efforts to ratify and implement the BBNJ Agreement. And as I said, as part of this webinar series that we have, we'll be over the coming months also looking at other issues in greater depth in terms of what we can do, what needs to be done, what opportunities there are for implementation of the treaty, and connecting experts and opportunities and networks. So great that you have all joined us. Thank you so much. And thank you to IUCN for providing the briefing. I'll hand back to Helen. Thanks.
Thank you, Beck, for that introduction. Before I call in the next speaker, I want to just take you through the run of the what to expect in this session. As I maneuver through the screens. So the session, we're going to have 1 hour. And in terms of how we're going to run the show, we're going to have the overview of the facility in general, what is expected. And then that will take us about 10 minutes. That will be followed by 10 minutes where one of the speakers will take us through the guidelines for applicants, including the requirements. And then we'll open the session for question and answer. So essentially, we really want to interact with you, and we really want to hear from you concerning this facility. And kindly feel free to use the chat function or the Q&A tab to submit your questions, even as the speakers go through their presentations. And afterwards, after the speakers are done, which will take us to the mid-hour, we'll open the session and we respond to all the questions. With that in mind, as already mentioned, we are looking forward to hearing from the IUCN and to invite our first speaker, Aurelie Spadon. Kindly come in and tell us about the facility.
Thank you very much, Helen. And thank you to the organizers, and thank you for High Seas Alliance for putting this webinar together, and for the very kind invitation to share about the EU Global Ocean Program Technical Assistance Facility. So just to confirm, everyone can see my screen properly before I start?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna. So my name is Aurelie Spadon. I'm senior ocean manager within the ocean team of IUCN at based in headquarters, and I'm going to talk to you about the EU Global Ocean Program first component. And this is all in the context of enhancing capacities to respond to key global area beyond national jurisdiction, biodiversity-related processes. So I'll just have on this with me today. I have two of my colleagues working on this program, Clément Chazot and Melissa Abdelhari. So let me start with providing a little bit of context, right? So I think I don't have to spend a lot of time because everyone knows about it, but we are really entering this new era for the global legal framework in areas beyond national jurisdiction, with the adoption 2 years ago, and the entry into force of the BBNJ Agreement in this month, right? Last month on 17th of January. And the other important element was the adoption of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework at the end of 2022. I think this all comes with the assessment that there is a substantial capacity building that is required to effectively implement this framework, and to make it like a universal implementation and for this new legal framework. So I think that we, as everyone knows, so area beyond national jurisdiction covers almost half of the planet's surface and represents a very large portion of its habitable volume on Earth, and life in this area supports life on the planet. And the international community is really dedicated to support efforts on conservation of this key biodiversity. At the adoption of the BBNJ Agreement back in 2023, the EU announced that they were going to put 40 million as support to enhance capacities and for ratification and preparing early implementation of the BBNJ Agreement and other processes. So that is the 40 million that they announced on that date. And it's really aimed to contribute to the effective delivery of all the global ocean commitments by 2030, as I was mentioning in my context slides. The EU Global Ocean Programme has 3 components, and the first component, implementation, has been entrusted to IUCN, and it represents 20 million out of the 40. And that's what we are going to talk about today. Within the first component of the EU Global Ocean Programme, you have 3 interdependent areas of intervention. The first one is the Global Ocean Programme Technical Assistance Facility, and that will be the topic of today, and all of the rest of my slides will be focusing only on that. But I want to mention that there is also 2 other areas of intervention. One on strengthening technical capacity through closing the geographic and taxonomic gaps in areas beyond national jurisdiction mapping. And that is, for instance, the work on important marine mammals areas, right, and important bird areas, important shark and rays areas. So we are going to help close the gap in terms of coverage of this scientific work and taxa-based tools work during these second areas of intervention. And finally, the last one is reinforcing regional ocean governance and coordination mechanisms. And we will work with the CBD Secretariat and their Sustainable Ocean Initiative for that last areas of intervention. But let me go back to the main interest of today and the reason, for this webinar. It's to go back to the first one, so the Global Ocean Programme Technical Assistance Facility. So it is operational since June 2025, where it was announced by the Commissioner Costas at UNOC in Nice, and it is so technical assistance that is provided without granting of funding. This is something important. The technical assistance will be provided through that mechanism. EU partner countries are eligible to receive technical assistance, and the request for technical assistance can be submitted either by a governmental institution from an eligible country or from a regional intergovernmental organization with a relevant mandate that include at least one country member from eligible countries. So I think that's a very interesting situation as well, where you can have only one country asking for technical assistance, or it could be a group of countries, or one country leading and associating with neighboring countries to submit together a TA request. Or, as I said, directly from a regional organization with state members that can submit a technical assistance request through our platforms. The aim and the vision of the EU Global Ocean Programme Technical Assistance Facility was really to offer on-demand targeted support to help countries to engage in the BBNJ Agreement, but also other related processes, I mean, that are focusing on biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. And here we can maybe mention CMS or CITES, right? And so this is like, of course, BBNJ Agreement focused, but there will be other processes that can be absolutely, we will consider technical assistance request for engaging in other processes that are relevant. What I would like to say here as well is that the vision of the EU is that this support will come as a complement to other existing support, right? Such as everyone knows, the GEF as BBNJ support money for states through 3 UN agencies, FAO, UNDP, and UNEP. Many countries have already accessed those funds. My understanding is that there is still some GEF support money on that. We are trying to coordinate to make sure that we don't duplicate efforts, and on the contrary, that we can build and work together to make it and enhance capacities to engage in those processes to maximize the results and everything. So we're really working hand in hand and trying to complement. And some things that will not be eligible for GEF support money could be considered by this one, or vice versa, and so I think that's really how the donor envision this how this technical assistance facility could help and could be helpful. We have defined some categories to help the requester shaping their requests, right? So if, as I said, the vision was to offer on-demand technical assistance. So we've tried to put categories to guide. So it could be conduct legal policy and scientific gap assessments related to biodiversity-related processes in BBNJ. It could be support for the national adoption of the BBNJ Agreement, strengthen capacity for science and technology, or align BBNJ biodiversity-related processes and commitments at regional levels, for example. And we've even put a category 6, which is any other support. So we really we're trying to make sure that we can craft and target the technical assistance to respond to the needs of the country or the countries in those requests. The process for TA request appraisal and delivery. So the requester, they are encouraged to review the following resources before submitting the request. So we have put online guidelines for applicants, and we've put as well the template, the form template. So My colleague Melissa will take you through those steps. So she will show you exactly where you can find those resources and how to do it. Requests can be submitted directly on a dedicated page on IUCN website. You find here the address, and you have the QR code to access this page, which have a description, and then a direct button where you can click submit a request. And so we've tried to make it as easy as possible to speed up the process and really make sure that this support goes fast to countries and requesters. We have also developed a pool of experts which are associated to this technical assistance. And what we will do is do a matchmaking process between the request and the experts that we have in our pool of experts. And again, it was to speed up the process so that we can go fast with our procurement and make sure we have the experts that IUCN will contract to provide the technical assistance to the country. Of course, the requester can suggest any expert that they know in their region and that are good, and we will consider those experts. And the final approval of the request will be granted by the Technical Assistance Approval Committee, the TAC, to make sure that we are fully in line and compliant with how the process was developed. And a quick warning that the requests need to be submitted at least 6 weeks ahead of the proposed TA delivery start date, because we had in the past a request that come like 14 days before the activity they were asking for, and it was not able for us to process. Even if we want to be quick and fast, it was way too short. So it's just a little bit of a warning. So the pool of experts, I already mentioned it in my previous slide. So it's really a court of specialists to ensure the delivery of the TA. And individual can also, on the same page that I showed you before, on the same QR code, at the very bottom of the page, expert can join this pool of experts if they are interested in contributing to that work. And I think that's it on the technical assistance facility overview. And maybe I just mentioned here on this slide the other BBNJ-related efforts that IUCN is doing at the moment. So there's the Living High Seas project. It's a GIZ-GOVI IUCN consortium. And it's really meant at enhancing countries' capacities to develop ABMT's proposals, so including MPAs in areas beyond national jurisdiction. You have the High Ambition Coalition for the BBNJ that is led by our Center for Policy and Law and the Global Ocean Policy Director, Mina Epps. And it's really like this is the high-level political momentum around the BBNJ. And finally, there is also within the Center for Policy and Law an explanatory guide to the BBNJ Agreement that is being developed thanks to the support of the French Development Agency, AFD, and to really give an explanation of legal explanation of the BBNJ Agreement to help its implementation for countries. So with that, I will stop. I'll draw your attention to this very important email address, which is staff.ocean@iucn.org, and that will directly come to us for any question that you have on the technical assistance facility of the EU Global Ocean Programme implemented by IUCN. And feel free to reach to us if we don't manage to respond to your question in the Q&A today, and feel free to reach to us for additional questions. So we'll stop sharing my screen, and I think I give back the floor to Ellen before Melissa jump in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Quite exciting work ahead. I want to remind everyone that the session is being recorded and this information will be shared after with everyone. Another thing that I would like to request participants, kindly remember to put your questions on the chat function. We will respond to all the questions after Melissa has spoken. At this juncture, I want to invite Melissa to come in and speak on the guidelines for applicants. Melissa, over to you.
We cannot hear you, Melissa.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, apologies for the technical issue. So thank you very much, Helen, and thank you, Aurélie, for the presentation. So I will share my screen and we'll walk you through our main webpage that Aurélie has mentioned, which includes lots of resources as well as the submission form to submit your request. So can someone confirm that we can see my screen here? All right, let's give it a moment. Perfect.
We can see it.
Super. So we'll be sharing also the link to this page in the chat. It was also the page that is linked to the QR code that was on the slide before. So you might already be on here. So this is our main page related to the Global Ocean Program. You will find, as you scroll down, all of the information presented by Aurélie, including the overview of the program itself, and then a bit more about the technical assistance facility. And as you scroll down, you'll see here a section dedicated to technical assistance requests. So as a requester, this is where you want to go. And first, start here. You will be accessing the guidelines for applicants, as well as the technical assistance submission form. So as Aurélie mentioned, the technical assistance submission form, I can walk you through it just so you see. It's really a tool meant for preparation purposes only, because we will be requesting requesters to submit their request through our dedicated link, which I will walk you through in just a minute. But just so you see, we'll have the same amount of questions detailed that we will be asking in the online form. So this is really a good resource to start with to prepare your request. So I'm just scrolling through here quickly because I will go through each of these live with you with our link. But you see we also indicated the current account maximum so that you can be prepared as you prepare your request. So I'll go back to our main page here. The other resource that's useful is the technical assistance request guidelines for applicants. Same thing, I will go through them quite quickly because they are mainly the information that Aurélie has already presented. So you have a general information about the program, about the facility, its objectives, eligibility criteria, making sure that there is alignment with other BBNJ related funded efforts, the various categories of request, and then how to apply. And so all resources link back to basically this section of this page. So once you have gone through the guidelines, once you've prepared your request using the submission form, you then will click on this submit request button, and you will then land on this embedded online form that basically will save your request, and then once you're done, you can submit it, and then it will arrive on our desk. So the first thing you'll see here is the applicant declaration. So this is just to make sure that the person behind the computer behind the request is legally mandated to submit the request. There's also a few IUCN legal requirements, nothing out of the ordinary, but feel free to, in your own time, read through this. We also have a copy of it in the submission form that I just mentioned. And if you have any questions about it, please feel free to send us an email. So let's say that you have read through this, that you have then ticked the box saying that you agree with this declaration. You will then put in your applicant name. In this case, I will just use it like this. So then you will click on next, and then you will now start your to fill out your request. So you will have two options here as the lead requester, as Aurélie mentioned, either a governmental institution or a regional intergovernmental institution. So depending on which one applies to you, you'll choose that. And then you'll confirm the various kind of prerequisites that Aurélie has mentioned. So confirm that you've consulted the guidelines, confirm that the effort that you are requesting is not duplicative of other BBNJ related funded efforts. So it can be complementary, and we actually encourage complementary efforts, but we want to make sure that it's not duplicative. That all the relevant ministries related to or concerned with BBNJ ratification and implementation are informed that this request is being put together. Also confirming that the national JEF focal point are aware that this request is being submitted, and confirming that this request is aligned with national or regional priorities related to the implementation of BBNJ. So let's say that in this case, everything is applicable. If not, there's also a space here for you to explain. So then you will click on next. And then here you will have a kind of traditional detailed on the lead requester field. So again, you would have to type the name of your organization or institution, whether it's a Ministry of the Environment or other agency, then put in the address, put in the key contact person's name, their email, if there's additional information as well. And then here, one important thing that I want to draw your attention to is that we request that the requester upload a official endorsement from the institution confirming that the request is authorized and institutionally supported at the appropriate level. So this can be, like I said, a letter or confirmation from another agency that is responsible for implementing BBNJ. This goes back to making sure that this request is embedded within national priorities. As Aurélie mentioned, we also welcome requests of multiple countries. So if there's any co-requester, you can also indicate their name and their affiliation here. We only need the detailed information for one, so you can have one or two or three co-requesters here as well. So if we click next, we will then ask information related to work in ABNJ. So, for example, what is the BBNJ agreement status in the country? What is the role and mandate in ABNJ processes? And is there any ongoing BBNJ and ABNJ biodiversity related effort? As you'll see, these are required, and they don't have to be long. We just want to basically understand the context in which this request is being suggested. Then we get into kind of the meat of it all. So what is this request about? So the goal is to, for example, increase awareness in efforts for ratification. Let's say, have you conducted a needs assessment? Do you already know what the different needs or the different gaps are? Here you can indicate them, and here you will have the choice to choose between two streams. So already didn't go into this, but they're quite straightforward. So we have two different streams. They're very similar. The main difference is whether this request is aimed at enhancing capacities at the national level or whether it's aiming at enhancing capacities at the regional or global level. So depending on the type of request, you will select the most relevant one. And here you will then select the different or the category that best applies to your request. You'll note here that we have a sixth category, which is any other type of support. So if your request does not seem to fit these predetermined categories, you can also choose this one and then further explain in the other fields of this form. So let's say I choose category 2. I will then go into this box, which will ask you a description of the anticipated activities and potential timeline. So let's say, you have this goal to achieve a certain milestone, in 6 months, in 8 months, in 12 months. This is where you can indicate that timeline component. If you already have a more determined timeline, or if this is part of a or if this is complementing another funded effort, and you have, let's say, a Gantt chart, then you can also submit additional information as an attachment here. It's not requested because we also understand that one of the categories could also be, or one of the types of requests could also be, I need support to identify my needs. And therefore, in this case, you might not know already the indicative timeline, and that's fine. As already mentioned in her presentation, if you are already working with local experts, or if you would like to suggest experts that would be relevant for delivering this request, you can indicate their names and their information here, and also indicate here whether there's been any prior or future planned engagement with various stakeholders within the context of the request. So as we click next, we then go into kind of the sustainability of the technical assistance. So we want to understand how will this request contribute to other biodiversity related processes in areas beyond national jurisdiction. As already mentioned, the goal is also to obviously to focus on the BBNJ agreement, but also make links with other agreements and frameworks, so CMS, CITES, CBD, etc. And then here, in this box, the next box, we also would like to understand how this assistance delivery will ensure long-lasting positive biodiversity conservation outcomes. So thinking about the long-term aspects of this request, and then obviously a space for any other information that you would like to share with us, any context information that you would like to share with us, etc. Here. So I will just fill this in. And then as we click next, we're almost done. We will have a space here if you would like to upload any other attachments. There's no limit as well. You can upload multiple, I believe. And then here, important toggle here is to whether you consent to for your data to be shared in a limited way. So in the process of evaluating the request of matchmaking with experts, we will have to share part of the information with our technical assistance approval committee and other experts. So we want to make sure that you're okay with that, and then making sure that you are not a robot, and you will have to go through that, and then you will submit your request, and then that will arrive on our end, and we'll be able to visualize it. So I will stop here, and happy to respond to any questions and go back to the page as needed as well.
Thank you very much, Melissa, for that presentation, quite comprehensive. So we have a few questions on the chat. Let me start. I think I saw one from Onya. So Onya, just to confirm, yes, the presentation will be shared after this, and confirming with Melissa and Aurélie that the presentations will be shared, right? Yes, so the presentations will be shared. Then we have a question from Beatrice, and Beatrice is asking if the request is related to multiple categories, do we have to submit multiple demands?
So a very good, good question. I think as Melissa showed, you have a lead requester and you have a space where you can put other requester, so co-requester. So it can be only one demand, right? And so one demand, and you have to identify one lead, but it can absolutely have everyone else listed in the co-requester section.
Okay.
So
Thank you for that.
No need for multiple demand. We can sort it out in one request, one joint request.
And maybe I can just add, sorry, to complement that. As you build your partnership, you may have different areas that you want to receive support for, and obviously you can have a program approach with several components in your request. You select the most relevant categories, but it doesn't mean that your your request will only focus on this specific category. So yes, select the one that's the most relevant, and then you can describe in the activities other activities that may have fallen, would have fallen, sorry, under different categories. So yeah, we don't need multiple requests. It is possible if you are not ready, you can start with one request and submit one later. But if you have already various areas that you are ready to submit, these can be submitted as a package. And you can describe, as Melissa mentioned in the form, the various areas that you want to receive support on. So yeah, hopefully that clarifies.
Thank you, Clément, for that. The next question is, how many requests do you expect to receive per month or per year? And tied to that is, do you have examples of types of requests that you have received?
I can maybe start, or and then Aurélie. So as mentioned, it's not a call for proposals with a deadline to submit. It's an open rolling call. So I guess the request can come in where they are ready. So contrarily to when there is a defined time frame, we expect them to come at different times. So yeah, we don't have figures, and the program is still new. So I guess so far we cannot say how many we receive per month. And this will really be rolling for the next 5 years with the process that Aurélie mentioned, with the appraisal that will take with a minimum of 6 weeks. So that's what we prefer to emphasize on, is that whenever you're ready, come and talk to us, submit, we'll engage with you in discussing your request, and then we'll make the support available as soon as possible. But we are not expecting the request to be submitted by a particular date, which is also different from some other technical assistance provision mechanisms. And I don't know if you want to take the other aspect of the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Clément. And so at the moment, we have received one request from a country that we are processing at the moment. And we have also received one request from a regional organization that we were not able to accommodate because of these time issues. You know, it was a very too short time issues, but we encourage them to resubmit when it's a good time for them. And we have also some preliminary contact with other countries that are exploring if they are eligible, and etc. So we are processing on that. So at the moment, very few. Welcome any request for technical assistance and stuff, and we will. It's, as Clément said, impossible to predict how many we will get, how many and how, per month or per year. Or I guess it's also a very particular moment right now, because the agreement, the BBNJ agreement, is in force since very recently. So we're expecting that, as we're moving towards like PrepCom 3 and have a more clear idea about, the process timeline and the implementation readiness needs, we will get requests. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. Another question is from the practical side. So will the approved projects that will receive support be listed on the IUCN website? And tied to that, if I can ask two questions, can we complete the requests in French?
Yeah, so on the language aspect, absolutely. So requests can be submitted in the three IUCN languages, so English, French, and Spanish. We are working on developing a interface that is also trilingual. That is coming soon. So for now, the form is in English, but you are welcome to respond in French or in Spanish, and we will have the right people reviewing and understanding that request. So that's no problem. And on the second point, so we do not plan on listing the approved requests on our website. However, we anticipate developing lessons learned document, best practices, or any kind of resource document that can come out of the request, also the request experience. So that will be coming and published on our website, but we will not have a list of approved requests. We will, I think, at some point be able to share some numbers as well as geographical scope, for example. But because they're not really projects, we do not anticipate to have specific details on our website for the moment.
Thank you, Melissa, for that. The next question, it's a long one, but basically, as a region organization, UNEP, MAP, SPA, RAC, and in charge to assist Mediterranean countries to implement SPA-BD. Sorry, I do not know these acronyms. So maybe I request Aurélie or Melissa, because you can access the Q&A, I believe, Q&A tab. Could you kindly...
Maybe I can start. And
yes.
So yeah, it's in the Q&A function, not the chat, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing the question. And I think, as mentioned, as long as the regional platform has eligible members within its membership, requests can be put forward, provided, obviously, it focuses on biodiversity-related processes in the high seas. So, the spammies in the open seas, in this case, in the Mediterranean context, could be relevant. So if you want to look at the form that Melissa presented and the guidelines, if you have questions, let us know. But from the onset and just looking at your questions, it looks like this. We could receive a request and to consider it for to be appraised by our processes. So yes, definitely, I think it sounds like it's something that we could explore support for. So yeah, very much welcome you looking at it and engaging with us if needed.
Thank you for that. And Atef, I hope we have responded to your question. The next one is also quite a long one. That one is on the chat function, but basically the question is there priority considerations, strategic preferences, or difference in assessments? Difference in assessment. Oh, sorry, the chat function disappeared. Yeah. So the person is asking whether there is consideration, strategic preferences, different in assessment, given that the submissions are coming from regional intergovernmental organizations or eligible countries. So what criteria, is it the same across board? I believe.
So I can take this one, and it's we will consider both. I mean, there is no preference or no. I think the most important is that it responds to the needs, and the needs are clearly expressed. If it's needs at the national level, or if it's need at a regional level, I mean, we will of course consider both, right? So I think it's a matter of discussing well with countries in your and in the region, or from the intergovernmental organization or regional organization you're talking to, and look at do we have similar needs? Is it something that is benefit doing together, and then submit a joint request, or if it has specific national needs come. And it is not exclusive, right? So you can have a national request and a regional request also on this. And also, maybe I mentioned that there is no limitation in terms of number of time one country or one institution can access the TA, the technical assistance. So we can very well imagine that a country is not super ready yet and does not exactly know what everything it needs to do for BBNJ implementation, can start by a simple TA request on the TAF saying identification of needs with regards to implementation of this part of the treaty, and we will fulfill that TA technical assistance. And then when the country moves on to next stage, you can submit another request in 1 year, in 2 years. So the program is open for 5 years. So of course, it depends how many requests we got, how many the funds are spent, but at which speed. But it also gives a large opportunity. It's not short. And I saw one additional question asking about if it's when the call is open. I mean, it is, as Clément said, it's an open call, right? Will not be deadlines or cut-off dates. So it's really meant to stay open until further notice. I mean, it's like really open. Yeah. Thank you.
Can I?
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe
Melissa?
I can add just one point on the evaluation of the request, just to clarify what Aurélie has just mentioned. So really the evaluation of the request is not so much the validity or worthiness of the request, rather than the evaluation of the needs within the request, so that we can best match it with the expertise that either we will pull from the pool of expert or from the experts recommended in the request or some other source. So it's not a competition among the different requests that we receive. It's not a call for proposal. It's really just a way for us to evaluate how we can best respond to the request.
Thank you for that. I don't see any more questions on the chat function. Welcoming people to continue writing or to speak up if need be. But as the moderator, I'll take the opportunity to ask my question. So the question that I have, what is the size of the facility out of the 20 million? And then the other question that I have is, are all requests tied to experts? In summary, I'm asking, can this facility also fund workshops, travel, and all that?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. So on the travel aspects, and so workshops, travel to attend a capacity building workshop will be eligible. Travel to a meeting or travel to an event and stuff will not be considered, and it is not from IUCN guidance. It is from the donor perspective that they don't want that funds to be only going for travel, and supporting travel. So it needs to be attached to some capacity buildings of the countries requesting this, and in most cases, then it will be a group or a regional group organizing capacity building workshop or important meeting, preparing a position or something like that, and this could include workshop travel fees, travel costs, etc. So that's the little precaution here. The of envelope for the technical assistance itself is 10 million out of the 20 million.
Thank you for that. Colleagues, I want to open the session. Anybody who has an unanswered question? I think silence means we have done quite well with our time. So again, 1 more minute Otherwise, we're going to close the session. Yes, I think we do not have further questions around this time. So thank you so much, colleagues, for attending this session. I hope you have enjoyed as I have. And I hope that Aurélie, Melissa, and Clément will get to hear more from you moving forward. And really looking forward to maybe having a reflection of how the process has gone in a year or so time. So we come to the end of our session. Beck, would you like to say something before I close?
No, you can close. That's fine, Helen. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Beck. So thank you so much, Melissa, Aurélie, and Clément for this session. We have really gotten to learn much, and I hope that we'll also take the message to some of the countries who have not been able to participate. I know from my region, you'll hear more from us. So looking forward to working closely with you. Thank you, and thank you for all the participants for finding time to join us. And may you have a good evening, good morning, or the rest of the day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.